everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm a member of the Voices for Victims Coalition here in Sacramento, California. In honor of Missing Children's Day, which is May 25th every year, we wanted to talk to you this year about the missing children in California, the laws that apply when a child is missing, and the resources available to their families. Some brief background is that on May 25th, 1979, a Tom Patz was abducted in New York. And on that day in 1988, President Ronald Reagan made National Missing Children's Day in his honor. Every year we honor those kids that are missing, celebrate the children that have been recovered, and honor the people who are significant in their recovery and their healing afterwards. I'm hoping this isn't too dry for you. If you have any questions or anything, we will give you some information at the end, but we just wanted to get this information out there. So who is a missing child? Under California law, a missing child is a person 17 years of age or younger. Our code here, definition, is very well written and specifically lists a few scenarios where the police are sometimes hesitant to take a report, like in a family abduction situation or in a runaway case. So the definition includes, but is not limited to, a child who has been taken, detained, concealed, enticed away, or retained by a parent in violation of law, or a child who is missing voluntarily or involuntarily, or under circumstances not conforming to his or her ordinary habits or behavior, and who may be in need of assistance. There's 4 key laws in California that affect missing children. They are on the screen. I won't bore you with all of the details, but they basically cover kidnapping, child abduction, child custody cases, and then there is that subsection that requires the state-owned buildings to post pictures of missing children in a public area to get the word out. I think it is key to note in something like this that runaways in California, there's no actual law against running away. So one of the purposes of this presentation is to talk to you about the things where there's no crime that's been committed, but there are children and families who are in need of assistance and might not be able to get those resources through the regular channels as if a crime had occurred. The first one we'll talk about is the Safe School Policing Partnership Act of 1998. This basically requires law enforcement agencies to notify a school district or private school within 10 days of a child's disappearance. They're required to be given this in writing and with a copy of a photograph if there is one available. This is actually a very important records flagging law that is intended to make sure that authorities know if any missing kids are transferred in or out of a school. It makes sure those kids don't fall through the cracks and has actually been key in recovering some children, especially in child custody or family abduction cases. There is a related provision in the California Education Code that makes sure that school officials are expected to file missing child reports for any kids that are lost and not wait or rely on a parent to make the report. This would apply if a child has not been showing up for school on a regular basis and the parent is not cooperating and they just want to make sure that the child is safe. So I think it's important to note that there's not just a penal code law, there's actually an education code requirement as well. The second one is the Amber Alert, and I'm sure that those of you who deal with families with missing children get a lot of questions about this one. We all get the notifications on the phone. We see the things at DMV or up on the Caltrans signs around the state. But in order for an Amber Alert to be activated, there are 4 key components that must be met. 1, that an abduction has occurred or a child was taken by anyone, including but not limited to a custodial parent or guardian. The second is that the victim is 17 years of age or younger, or an individual with a proven mental or physical disability. The victim must be in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. And there's information available that, if disseminated to the public, could assist in the safe recovery of the victim. Most of the time that includes that the victim is a known person or that there is a vehicle with a license plate number attached to this case. As you know, as a parent, I can understand that, when your child goes missing, you would want an Amber Alert to be activated every time, but it is key to know that the Amber Alert does require these 4 components in order to be most efficient and most successful. Sadly, there are so many missing kids today that if we issued an Amber Alert to every case of these, people just become desensitized and not pay any attention to them. So this is a key component that is also defined not just by California, but by federal law as well. The Adam Walsh Protection and Safety Act of 2006 requires law enforcement agencies to notify the National Information Center of a missing child within 2 hours of a report being filed. The key change to this in 2006 was that it used to be 4 hours, but they realized those 2 missing hours could sometimes be a big key in recovering the child quickly and safely. So this federal act changed it to 2 hours. If you comply with this act in your state, you get some additional missing children's funds. However, only Ohio has actually complied with this act due to the difficulty in meeting the mandates, just because of the changes in state laws that would be required, legislature, and all the normal things that go with changing a federal law. We in California are actually pretty close to complying with all of it, but we're not completely on board yet. However, it's nice to know that we're moving in that right direction. The Peace Officers Missing Child Standards Act of 2008 emphasizes law enforcement being more sensitive and responsive in handling a missing persons case and involving whether a child or an adult. It talks to them about, key things to do, not to do, verbiage to use with parents, and processes to file. It also requires that law enforcement gives priority to handling missing persons reports over property crime reports. So if you get a call that a child is missing and you get a car that somebody's car is missing, the child comes first, which I think we can all agree is a pretty important component. This also expanded it to allow CHP to take a missing persons report if they are contacted, and then refer that person over to the agency with jurisdiction over the residence and where they were last seen. So they can assist with taking that initial report and then go ahead and direct them to the appropriate person, but that makes sure that the information gets entered into NCIC as quickly as possible and there's no delay. The Child Predator Prevention Act of 2010 is also known as Chelsea's Law, and this law mandates life prison terms for those convicted of certain violent sex crimes against children. It increases law enforcement oversight of paroled sex offenders and prohibits released sex offenders from visiting places where children congregate. Some of the resources out there that you can give families are listed on here. I'm not going to lie, I'm very biased. I'm actually a consultant with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And one thing I love about our organization is we not only assist when the child is missing, but we provide resources to the child and the families even after the child is recovered. There are other state and federal agencies listed on here that can give you information about how to handle these types of cases, resources to direct the families to. And then the last four are, or the next three, I should say, are actually local organizations here in California that can provide additional resources. I'm sure we've all heard of Class Kids, who is Polyclass. They do a lot of the same things that the National Center does, but more on a local level for the families. And then there's also the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, which is a big resource talking about mostly adults, but how to really use the resources available to help find our families. Again, disappearing on your own, whether you are a child or an adult, is not actually a crime. So a lot of times these things will not get a priority when you need help and resources, because there's victims of crime actually out there who need these things. It's interesting, the LAPD website actually tells people that if you have a missing adult in your life, that you should just call a private investigator after you file the police report. So there really is kind of a gap because no crime has occurred, but it's a very important component and something that happens on a daily basis around the nation. And Families are really just trying to find their loved ones and bring them home. There are a lot more provisions, as you saw, for children who are missing, but a lot of these resources actually can apply to adults as well. If you have any questions or would like a copy of the information in this presentation, please feel free to reach out to us. I wanted to keep this brief. I know you're taking time out of your day to watch this, and you're probably just scrolling through social media or hopefully looking at our website. But if you have any questions, need more information, or would like anything additional, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That is what the coalition is here for. Thank you so much for your time.